Welcome back to the Mami Collective podcast. It's Paulina, and we're doing it. Episode 2. I'm trying to make sure I'm consistent for you guys because I think the number one thing I struggle with is being consistent and making sure that I show up for myself, even though I am a mother and I am a full-time radio personality, obviously podcaster, 2 podcasts, a whole wife, and just a whole human being. I'm making sure I'm holding myself accountable, and this podcast means a lot to me, so I'm making sure I'm doing that for me and for you and for all of us in the Mami Collective community. Really quick, just some notes about everything. Make sure to share, subscribe this podcast with all your friends and everybody around you, everyone that you feel would really benefit from this podcast. Please share her. I want to introduce my guest for today. We are chatting with Susan Rowlen. Susan Rowlen is a psychic medium, personal business, and investigative as well. And Susan is just a light in my life. Susan really does help me with so much. She is my spiritual guide, if you will, my spiritual therapist. She's predicted so many things for me in my life and what has, come into my reality. Susan has predicted it. She's seen it. She's guided me. She's told me many, many things that to this day live up to that. And I can see what she was referring to. So it's pretty cool. I love her, and I love that she agreed to be on my podcast because she is busy. But I want to give you a quick bio about Susan. She is a psychic medium. She can see, hear, and feel past, present, and future events. And she uses her unique gift to help clients all over the globe gain deeper insights into their life journey and gain spiritual growth, shining light on relationships, love, career, business, and family. And I actually can agree with all of that because she absolutely has helped me in every one of those categories. She does offer private, individual, or group readings to help you connect with loved ones who have passed. And of course, that she will provide clarity and guidance as you navigate your life's journey. And her mission and her purpose, and of course, her passion is providing spiritual, compassionate, and healing connections to yourself and loved ones that empower you to move forward in all areas of your life. I'm so honored that she agreed to be on with us. And she's obviously a mother. She's a mother herself. I want to say her daughter's about my age. So it's super cool to see this. I've always wondered what it's like to grow up with someone in your immediate family just being psychic, right? And having that gift, being able to talk to those who have passed. And she talks about that. She talks about how you can raise intuitive kids, children, all of that. So if you see that your kid might have a gift of some sort in that regard, how to lean into it, how to embrace it. Susan's story is crazy. I've learned a lot too about her that I had no idea, and I enjoyed chatting with her. I hope you also enjoy this episode. So let's just get into it.
I've never seen you this happy.
You've never seen me this happy?
No.
Oh,
I haven't. It's true.
Thank you. I feel happy.
I know, but it shows.
Oh,
that's why you have this glow. I saw it at the office when you came, and I'm like, wow, she's never looked this good. It's different. It's when you're happy on the inside,
yeah,
it radiates on the outside.
Oh,
so you've never looked this good.
Thank you very much.
It's true.
I feel the happiest.
Content.
That's what it is. It's contentment. Because I'll go through seasons. By the way, we are recording. So hi, Susan.
You?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Susan, you're talking about me. I had to hit record. I'm like, this is iconic. I'm taking this with me everywhere I go.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh
well,
my God.
I love how you feel. I love how you look. Like I said, it's definitely coming through. And you know what? When people listen and they start doing things that's meaningful, something that's really good to them, this is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And it shows. I say this all the time. For all the fake stuff that you give into,
yeah,
no.
It's interesting, too, because you said, you are content, right? And that word to me, weirdly, I don't know if it means more to me or it's just more special to me, but I could be happy at any point, right? I could be happy eating, a cheeseburger right now because I'm hungry and I'm happy, right? But to be in this content space of just being truly happy, being truly at peace, right? That's how I feel. And I feel like that makes me the happiest I've ever been.
The older that I get, the more simple my life has become. And I like it that way. It's nicer.
Yes.
You become more grounded with yourself with all that extra stuff and frill that you don't need to do. It makes a world of a difference when I tell you.
I love it. I agree. And
we're fighting for so many things that we think are important and they're not.
No, They're not. And we do that. And I think a lot of times maybe it comes out of a place of survival. I don't know if that's the word. It comes out of a place of like you're trying to survive. You're trying to find your way, whatever it might be, right? And like we talked about this off the air, but like, we say yes to opportunities that may not align with us or may not feel good to us. You know what I mean? And like you notice, or you said it too, like, stepping away, there's something wrong with that.
No.
So maybe that's like the era that I'm in where I've stepped away.
I think you are, because I think as you get older, you know what's really important and what really isn't. What you thought was important 5-10 years ago, you're like, oh God, what was I thinking? But it has to happen that way, but you're growing.
Yes.
I feel bad for the people that are still in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s, and they're still the superficial stuff, the financial, the money stuff, that they think that that's going to make them happy, and it's not.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Those are the people I feel sorry for, because those are the people that have to be in front of social media, in front of the glitz, thinking that that's it. And I look at social media, it's got a double-edged sword. Finding things about social media, if you're educated on something, and that's fine. But when I look at this and I look at all the people that pretend to be happy, pretend to be perfect.
There's a lot of that.
There's no such thing.
No, absolutely not. Well, I have psychic medium Susan Rowlen here with me today on the podcast. A psychic, a medium, a friend to so many of us. Obviously, you and I have known each other for years.
Yes, we have.
Pre-pandemic, I believe.
It's true.
Yes.
True.
You've done, we've done workshops together.
Yeah.
Webinars. You've done readings for me personally, which have been so life-changing, because I feel like I go to you for a lot of stuff, whether it's just like, hey, I need advice.
I'm glad you do. I welcome you every time when I tell you, because I love when I could guide you and I see what comes through. It makes me happy.
Oh, I love that.
Because and then you see it all parlayed to be true. Like it's all coming through. And you're like, oh my God, Susan, it did happen. I'm like, yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So this is it. You know what I tell people? Don't lose your faith. Don't lose your belief. People go, how should I manifest? How is this going to come through? It's a simple thing. People make it complicated. Believe it will be, and take away the timelines. That's it. Don't worry when. When's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? Don't worry about that. It's not for you to know. Universe is going to step in and has your back. You just have to trust in them and believe that it's going to happen, and then throw it away. Anything I ever wanted in my life, I got. You're going to say, seriously? Yeah. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the great guy, the family, a great job. I always knew I would get it, but I just let universe take over. And my attitude till this day, I'll get it when I'm supposed to get it.
Yes.
We're trying to tell them when we're ready. They're telling us. They're showing us when we're ready. This is why they put the signs and all these things in our path, or they clear us. And sometimes when we want something, we didn't get it. And I always say rejection is God's way of protection.
Yes.
We may have wanted it so bad, and we feel gypped and we feel robbed and we feel disappointed. But in actual, it's probably the best blessing, because they're rerouting us to something even better. We just don't know it yet.
I 100% agree.
Right?
And that's kind of what happens to me a lot too, is that I feel like I want to know when, I want to know how. And of course, maybe it's just like human nature. Maybe it's a control thing. I don't know.
It's human. We're human.
Yeah.
We're not supernatural, and we're not robots. But at the same time, I think it's a test, and it's a test of faith.
Yes.
We have to stay true to saying, I know I'm going to get this. I know I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to be there. It may take 5 years, but it'll happen.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I agree. So, Susan, can you give us a little bit of a background for my listeners who maybe haven't worked with you the way that I have, right? So, for those who want to get to know you, a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. You can call me a spiritual advisor, a psychic medium. I say yes to all of it.
Yes. I like spiritual advisor, though, because it's like a therapist for me.
Yeah.
But you're advising me.
Exactly. I kind of look at it, you know what? It plays a part however you want to see it. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing this for many, many years. I started working for Chicago police, not publicly, when I was 18, finding missing people.
Really?
Yeah. And it just started escalating, because I started finding 1 and 2 and 3, and they're like, hey, we're going to use her more. And that's what I started to do. I didn't come out publicly until years later, but I try to be a stay-at-home mom. Whenever I would work for police, I would do it, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Yeah. When my daughter was sleeping, so to her, I was always a stay-at-home mom. but I did work.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, because it was really important. I only have one child because that's all I could have.
Me too. That's all I want.
Really?
To be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
I am
And I
very
like
happy.
that. That's good. That's okay. Whatever you're happy with, that's it.
I love it.
But I thought, okay, I didn't want to miss out on her growing up. So I was home as much as I could, but I did work. And, but I made it work. It all fit in. It all came together. But I did. And I enjoyed doing missing people, cold case files, all of that. So I did that for quite a lot. And I remember one time when I found a person, a sergeant said, Suze, why aren't you doing this publicly? And I says, oh, God, I don't want to do this publicly. I said, I kind of I like that nobody knows what I do.
Right.
I like the privacy. I'm not going to lie. And he said to me
too.
something, I will never forget it. He says, all due respect, he said, I think you're kind of selfish by not coming out publicly. And I looked at him and I said, are you kidding me? You see what I'm doing for you guys. I'm at your beck and call and this and that. And he goes, I don't mean it that way, but think about all the people you could really help if they knew and they had access to you. I remember going home and I was so angry. And I told my husband, Tom, I really was. And I told him and he goes, I kind of agree with him. I go, you too?
Wow. I mean, like, I get it, but it's also something so personal about you.
Right?
You know?
Well, he said something I will never forget. He says, why don't you take 3 or 4 days and think about it? And really think about it, because once you do come out, you'll be like a gay person coming out of the closet. You can't ever take it back. People will know then you are a psychic medium.
Yeah.
But take your time, think about it, and I'll support you whatever one way you want to go. I did, and you know what I said? I remember, because my faith in God is very strong, and I prayed about it, and I said, if it's meant for me to take off, you're going to see to it that I will. I'm going to just really, I'll do my work, but I'm going to put it in your hands of where the direction I'm supposed to go.
Interesting.
So I came out.
Mm-hmm.
Within 6 months, I was on the best top Chicago list of psychic mediums. Windy City Live at the time was reaching out to me. Radio stations were reaching out. People were asking me if I had a PR, and I said no. They were just emailing me. Word of mouth was traveling so quick, I can't even tell you. So that's when I thought, okay, God showed it to me. You're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So, and then the rest is history.
That is a wild story. I did not know that part about, just coming to the world and coming out and saying that this is my gift. This is what I have. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So kind of going off of that, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I'm super curious. I actually don't know the story about you, but when did you know this about you, like this, that you had this gift? And I call it a gift. I'm sure you do.
It is.
Too.
People think it's a curse. It's the way you look at it.
Ooh.
I just choose to do good with it. It's what you do with your gift. Whatever gift you have, if you choose to do good with it, it'll be amazing. But if you go a different way with it, then no.
I can see that. So what was your first experience where you're like, oh shit, I just saw the future, or I just saw this happen?
Well, it happened when I was a child.
Really?
Yeah.
And you remember that?
Oh, God. I would see dead people all the time. But here's the kicker. I didn't know that they were dead.
That is crazy because I hear that.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Kids can see the dead.
Most
okay?
do, right?
Well,
or majority?
Majority, yes. Some, the way you're...
Babies do, I've heard.
Babies do.
Yeah.
Because they're very old souls and they're coming from previous lifetimes. So, yes.
Yes.
That's why I always say when you talk to a baby, don't go... They're like, They actually are understanding everything that you're saying.
I can tell my daughter gets it. She's 5 months old. I'm like, you get me.
She does. She hears you. She gets you. She's connected to you.
Oh.
She's chosen you to be her mother.
Can I say something kind of interesting I wanted to ask you?
Yeah.
But since we're talking about her, I feel like I've known her before.
You have. You've been in past lives.
We have.
You have. And you signed up together and you both agree to your roles.
Oh, I love it.
And it's so great. So she chose you as much as you agreed and you chose her back.
Amazing.
It's true.
I love that. I just felt it when she was born. This is such a weird story. I never told it. When she was born, and she came out, like, I didn't even feel like that epidural. So I was like, I don't feel what's going on. I'm just like laying there and pushing. They took her out. Dr. Mike, love Dr. Mike Hinsdale. He pulled her out and said, here's your baby. And I was like, yay. And her eyes are open and we just locked eyes. And I was like, you've been here before, girl. We've
Yeah.
met before.
Yes.
It wasn't this like, and I love the whole like, you know, like mushy stories of like, you know, my baby, this and that. And I had that, but I didn't feel like that. I felt more like, you're back. Like, we've met before. You're back.
It's true.
It's crazy.
I call that kindred spirits.
Wow.
You have been together before, but in a really good way.
Oh my God.
It's a warm, fuzzy, familiar way.
It was familiar.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's a familiar in a good way. Okay, so it's very, very interesting. This is why sometimes when, you know, parents have more than one child, and I'm doing a group reading with a family, and I'll say, okay, your mother is saying something about your brother, and then the sisters will say, oh, the golden child. I'm like, no. Oh, our mother always favored him. I said, well, to you it may look like that, but in actual, your mother and your brother are soulmates and kindred spirits. They've had so many lifetimes together in a great way. So when your brother came into this world with your mother, it was like old home week.
Wow.
So when you know somebody and you're familiar, don't you gravitate to them more?
Yes.
That's exactly it. But
100%.
on an outside and not a spiritual way, you're going to think that's favoritism. It's not.
Really? Okay.
It's not.
That makes sense. Like,
It's because they're familiar.
okay, that totally makes sense because
Yeah.
with my mom too.
Mhm.
I mean, my mom and I, we are besties. We've had obviously, you know, when I was a teenager and this and that, we've had ups and downs. Or any teen,
It's
Right.
not an easy It's
no,
not
we
an
sucked.
easy stage.
I mean, being a teen sucks. Like, you know what I mean? We weren't terrible, but like
Of
obviously
course.
we bumped heads and
Sure.
like whatever. Now, like after the age of like 18, maybe even 17, we just became a lot closer. When she
Yeah.
kind of separated from my stepdad, we just got so much closer. And I feel like her and I have said this before too. I'm like, we've done this before.
Yeah,
Like
you
I know
have.
you.
You've done this dance before.
Yes.
There's some newer souls, maybe lifetimes that you didn't have very much with that person.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I see great marriages, and sometimes I'll see, like my husband, I'll use him for the example. I've been together for almost 40 years. And you know, it's interesting. Yes, we've been doing things before, but he's very protective over me. He's still a gentleman, you know, brings me coffee, takes my bag, opens doors for me, carries heavy things for me. He
Ugh.
watches over me so much.
Right.
But one time it hit me. I said, your soul contract, you signed up to not just be married to me and build a life, but to help me through life.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I go, do you ever feel tired with me? He goes, never. He goes, but I enjoy it. He goes, I just want to make your life happy and better. And I said, but doesn't it seem like work? He goes, no. Many times people will say, what's it like living with her? He goes, it's not easy. But he has empathy for me. He says, it's not
Right.
about me. I see what you go through.
Oh wow.
And you're mapping these missing people at 3 a.m, or a spirit's coming. And he knows when I'm talking to a spirit. Either I'm saying it out loud or internally. He already knows I'm there. He gives me my time. He knows.
I love that so much.
I know.
I respect that.
And he never complains. I can't tell you how many times I'll say, we've got to go in the car or get in the truck. We've got to go and buy this area. He's like, okay, I'm on it. Let's go. I can't tell you how many times I found the actual remains with shovels and I'm digging. And the cops will say, how did you know this? I said, they came, they showed me, I'm doing it. I get right down and dirty trying to find it. I'll tell my husband, I need your help. He's like, okay, let's go. I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't say a word. He's like, okay, I got it. But then again, he has seen the success stories. Even if they're not alive and they're not found alive, it's
Right.
still closure and closure to the family. He has witnessed all that. He says, Suze, you can't walk away from that. That's what I was trying to tell you when that sergeant told you that. And I said, now I get what you were trying to say, what you both were trying to tell me at the time. I was just very slighted, you know.
I mean, I can't
yeah.
blame you, you know.
Yeah, I was like, come on, I'm working for you guys night and day. I'm tired, you know. And he goes, no.
Right.
He goes, you're not seeing it, but I get it now.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And like, what about? Well, you talked about the turning point in your life, right? That kind of made this into your career, if you will, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you, I mean, I feel like it's not even a career to you; it's just your lifestyle. I don't know. It's a life
Well,
gift, you know.
it's true because you know what I said to somebody? Okay, I started to realize at 6 years old that I was seeing the dead when my grandfather passed away. Okay. My two brothers, my third brother wasn't born yet. So it was myself and my two brothers. We were all a year apart. So I was 6, 5, and 4. And my mother did not want us to go to the Waker funeral because she thought, it's too young. It's too traumatic. I'm not going to have my kids go. So after the funeral, my mother gets home, and my mother had this curio cabinet, and she's on a chair, and she's looking at something, pictures I'm seeing. So I said, Mommy, what are you looking at? And she goes, oh, they're not for your eyes to see. And she puts them back in an envelope, and she puts them on the top shelf. My mother gets a phone call, and she goes, so what do you think a 6-year-old's going to do? They're going to climb up, and they're going to want to see what's on there.
Of course.
And I'm climbing. I couldn't even reach the top. I actually had to be on top of the shelf. And I see these pictures of my deceased grandfather. And he's in the casket with beautiful flowers around him, his hands to his chest, and he looked like he was sleeping. He didn't even look dead. And I remember looking at these pictures, and I thought, well, how can he be in there when he's right here to the side of me? So that was the first time I saw the difference between the spirit and, being alive as human. Then I started realizing, okay, all my friends, when I would come home, they would all be in my room, all these spirits.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They really helped me grow up. Growing up was hard, and we would talk about my day, or they would say, don't, stay away from this kid, and we would laugh. And I remember one day my mother says, who are you talking to in your room? I go, nobody. And they used to say, don't tell, don't tell.
Oh, wow.
Because back then, they would have had me committed. It's
True.
not as free as it is now.
No.
It's more understanding now.
It is, yeah.
My mother says, who are you talking to? I said, Mom, nothing. She goes, I heard voices. Who are you talking to? And she came in my room, looked behind the door, looked in my closet, looked under my bed, and I'm just standing there and just saying, don't say. And I said, Mom, she didn't know what to say. She kept the door open, so then they were really quiet. And then they disappear, but they were always with me. I always had an entourage of spirit when I was a kid.
Is there a way that you kind of can know why God gave you this gift? Like, is there a conversation you had with God, or any kind of prayer that was said? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Like, you're chosen for this life. You know what I mean? Because not all of us have that gift. It's just the truth. Or maybe we do, but maybe we just don't embrace it. I'm not sure. But do you know why?
Well, I think we come in different levels and we leave in different levels.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think there's different levels of people with their intuition. But why? I don't know. But I will say something to you. I'm not going to lie to you. It was 2 summers ago, because I have an office in Oak Brook, and I fly, as you know, every other month to Chicago.
Yeah.
But I lived in Chicago my whole life, and then my husband wanted to move to Arizona, so now we live in Arizona. So I was doing a phone session with a client, and I went outside, because usually I'm always in my office, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to get some air while I'm talking. And I'm talking to this woman, very nice woman, and I was so tired that day, because I work about 16-hour days every day. Because when I'm done with my sessions, then I'm working also with police.
Right.
It's another side thing that I'm still doing. Okay.
You're busy.
I'm busy. So it's interesting. I've got this huge lemon tree at the time. And I'm just listening to this lady. And all I could think of is, I am really tired. I was so exhausted. And all of a sudden, the Blessed Mother comes through the trees and out. And now I've had many sightings of the Blessed Mother throughout my life. And yes, she does exist.
I was going to say, I love her.
She's beautiful beyond words. She has a voice like no other. There is no human voice that can mimic her voice.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely beautiful, peaceful, all of the above. But this time, she came out very stern to me. And she says, you are here to serve. You are not going to be tired no longer.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I stopped listening to the woman on the other side, and I'm looking at her, and that was it. And then she faded back into the tree and disappeared. I mean, I was at attention, and I thought, okay. So now I missed the last part of what the woman was trying to tell me on the phone, and I said, I'm sorry. I said, we had a bad connection. Can you repeat the last part? And then I was back on track with her. But I'll tell you, I never complained again that I got tired.
Wow.
So apparently that's what I'm supposed to do. Now, the one thing I will say, I learned from Spirit, if you are very intuitive to the point where you see things beyond that most people will never see, you've been a psychic before in other lifetimes. You've had that gift. You may have not used it as that,
Right.
but you've had that gift. I had a past life regression one time, and in the Egyptian days of Pharaoh.
Oh, wow.
And I was their psychic. I could see what I look like. I was a black woman.
Wow.
And at some point, I didn't want to do it anymore. And they put me in exile in chains. And I lived the rest of my life like that until I passed away.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. That is. I didn't know that either. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So have I been doing this before in various different ways? But the thing that's consistent is the degree of intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yes, it's no different if you were an artist or if you were a doctor. Let's go there.
Okay.
You're a doctor. You're going to come back in many lifetimes as some form of healer in different ways. Maybe this time you'll be a psychiatrist. Maybe this time you'll be a holistic healer. Maybe there's going to be just different things. Sometimes I remember, there was a friend of mine who was a doctor, and he says, I always knew I was a doctor before. This is why I breezed through med school.
Really?
Yeah. He never had to study like everybody else had to study.
Of course.
I mean, he studied, but
Yeah.
never to that degree. And he knew it. Everything was familiar that he was learning.
Of course.
He says, I've done this before. Or an artist. Chances are, if you're an artist in this lifetime, you'll be an artist again. Even if you don't use it, you know you can draw. You know you can paint.
That's not me, but yeah. I make like stick people.
Yeah. That's why I always say, look at your children.
Yeah.
We've done workshops on intuitive children. What do you do with them? I mean, that's a whole different subject right there. But I never hinder them. I embrace. When they say, oh, I have an imaginary friend. No, they don't. That friend's real. You just can't see it.
I was going to ask you that.
That
Yes. Like how to navigate as a parent.
You know what? Encourage it. Don't shut it down.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those kids.
Of course.
My daughter, she would always talk to my husband's grandfather all the time.
Really?
As young as 20 months old. She would say, Papa's here. And I remember all her toys would be on one side of the room. And she would be running around in her room. She goes, you still can't catch me. And so obviously he was there playing with her.
I've always believed that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
My coworker, he lost his mother, I'm going to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And his son at the time was 3, three,
Mm-hmm.
sitting in his little high chair thing, eating, right? And he's saying something about grandma. And I guess they don't call his mother-in-law, the other grandma, they don't call her grandma.
Okay.
They call her whatever they call her, maybe
Right.
Nana or whatever, grandma. They call her something else.
Right.
And he knows the difference between grandma and the other grandma. So he knows exactly who he's speaking to. And, his mother passed away, my coworker's mother, who is grandma to
Okay.
little boy. Little boy is eating, and he kept saying, grandma, grandma, grandma. And,
Mm-hmm.
and my coworker goes, no, like, she's not here with us. She's in heaven. She's not here with us, whatever, trying to talk to him. He goes, no, grandma's right there.
Yep. And now, okay,
Believe it. I believe it.
my answer to that is there's your cue to start talking to her. You as a parent.
Yes.
Say, Grandma, we love you. We miss you.
Oh,
Say it.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah, because
I know.
it's true. That's your cue. That's your cue right there. Pay attention. Or if you don't have children, you have a dog. Pay attention to the animals. They can see spirit as well. So if they're just kind of looking and staring and blanking out, or they're barking at nothing that's there, when I hear people, dumb dog, shut up. No, don't say that. Also, I want to make this clear. Anybody who has an animal, be kind to that animal because that animal understands everything you are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So any negative thing you're saying about that animal, it hears it. It understands it.
Oh, I mean, I call my boy Stinky because he smells sometimes, but I love him. He knows I do.
That's different. You're very still kind to him. But I get mad.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Knoxville 2 weeks ago celebrating a friend's birthday, and they had this dog outside the restaurant, and there was a gift shop. And I said, what a beautiful dog. And the kid said, he was about 21 years old. He says, oh, he's terror. He says, he's always getting in trouble. He says, we're always getting mad at him. And I said, don't say that about him because he understands what you're saying. Wow. He goes, he's about as dumb as a bunch of rocks.
Oh, my God.
And all of a sudden, I hear the dog saying, he's dumb. He goes, who's working and who's doing everything? And I'm sitting here.
Right.
He goes, I'm enjoying the sun and the wind. I started to laugh. I says, oh, my God, I actually heard the dog's thoughts.
Oh, my God. But so true. I mean, is he wrong? No.
He was sunning himself, the dog, and the guy sitting there working. He goes, who's dumb now?
Oh, my God.
I
That is so funny.
I laughed. Oh, God, I laughed.
Oh, I love that.
This is off the wall stuff I get.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I can't even imagine. I would love to just like switch places with you for one day. I want to be you for one day.
One day,
I would come back
think,
exhausted, but
I think, yeah, you would be like, oh my God, Suze, how do you do it? Here's what I tell people. If you were born on one hand with a sixth finger, 6 fingers, okay?
mm-hmm.
What would you do? Cut it off or just go with it?
Go with it. 100%.
Same thing. Same thing.
I see that.
Okay, I don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6. Okay, what would you do with it?
Yeah. Oh my God, that is wild. But I listen. I love it, and it's true.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think you have a lot of people. You've helped me, my family. We've had, like I said, workshops.
Love
webinars.
Your mother.
She loves
your
you.
mother.
She goes, how's my Susan doing?
I love her.
Oh my God.
Class act.
She's the best. And
She
it's funny
is.
because you've predicted when you've talked to her,
Mhm.
she's always concerned about her job and who's going to be the next person in the office.
Right.
Every time she's asked you, because it is like a rotating door for those people, right? Because they move up or they switch whatever offices. And she's always asking you, Susan, who's going to come into the office? And you're always right. It's the next person matches the description. But I love it. She loves to know ahead of time.
Well, you know what? Here's a good thing, too. A lot of people think it's just for people that you want to connect with your loved ones. And that's great. But I think it's even important to everyday life. You need direction. You need to know what's coming. So many people are always asking me, with the tough times that we're living in now. Oh, God. People are asking me left and right. Susan, are we going to be okay? What do you see for the economy? I have financial strategists come to me as clients, and they just want to know if they're telling their clients the right information or what they should be telling them to put their money in. So it's really kind of interesting, but it's about today. What are we supposed to do today to help navigate so we can be more successful?
Right.
But a lot of people have a lot of anxiety about what's going on today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you blame them?
No.
It's a very interesting world. And speaking of that, you and I kind of off the air, we're talking about, because obviously you're a mother.
Yeah.
I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I think a mother's biggest fear is the current reality that we live in with our children.
Yes.
There's so much that gives me anxiety already without kids. And now with kids, I'm just like, whoa, I outdid myself when it comes to anxiety for the rest of my life, and this is the like motherhood way, I guess, right? It'll be like this forever. Hopefully not. But I have a young baby. And I think about her a lot when it comes to, I don't know, just safety.
Yeah.
Safety.
And you should.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a great mother for worrying about that. I worry about the women that are just so lax or their heads in the sand. It's like, we're not living in 1955 any longer. We're living in where we're living, and the times they're very graphic of what's going on with people. So you have to have 10 eyeballs, 20 eyeballs, just always, I say this, and we were saying this earlier, don't put your children on social media.
Yes. I'm guilty of it, and I need to change that.
You need to change it.
I'm not bad, but I'm not great.
Well, okay, and you're honest about it. So I you know what, and I get it. But no, I always said if I had a grandchild, that grandchild will never be on social media. If you want to share a picture to somebody you really care about that really loves you and loves your family, you can text them a picture. But don't put it on social media. The amount of sex trafficking that's happening today, it's always been there because I've worked on cases 40 years ago. But what's happening now is it's like out of the pop stand to how current it is. When your children are in school, I would opt to not have them be in group photos. You've got pedophiles that are living in every area.
Yes.
And they love looking at stuff like that. Now with the transformation of AI, they literally will take your child's head and put it on other bodies. Oh. And that is something that concerns me a great deal. This is why I'm not a lover of AI. For every pro, there's a con. Yes, AI is good for A, B, and C, but X, Y, and Z, it's not. So you've got to kind of have a balance to how far you go with AI.
Right.
But I say limit your children on social media, pay attention. For all the young parents out there, my biggest advice to them is learn AI as a parent so you can be 10 steps up on your child. This is your child's world.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. So they're born into it. They're going to be a master at it. You and I are not.
No.
So if I had a child in this day and age, I would definitely learn as much as I can so I can be 10 steps ahead of my child.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of like when I was in high school. I want to say it was my last year of high school. So I wasn't even that young, but I was still, a kid, I guess. And that's when social media started taking off. And MySpace, I think, came first. So that was actually grammar school. So that's when it started, grammar school.
Wow.
So when I think about it, and my mom and my stepdad, they didn't know shit about that. They know nothing about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't go on and look at my MySpace. They didn't know how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm in that position of being a parent, like, I got to be 10 steps ahead of what she's doing or what they're all doing, the kids.
You have to. You have to. It's a lot of work today to be a parent.
It is.
I think it's always been work, but, you know, my daughter is 33 years old. I didn't have what you're going to be faced with. I didn't.
Right.
So it's going to be 10 times harder today. It just is. But you have to think, you know, people always say, how do you solve crimes? I says, I think like the criminal. You have to get in their weird psyche. So when I get in their psyche, I know what they're going to do next. That's why I am big on telling parents what they need to look out for. This is not an opinion. It's a psychic prediction to what I see.
Right.
And I work with it every day.
If anyone knows, you know.
It's sad. I tell you, one day when people go, you ever going to write a book? I go, when I have time, I will. I'll probably write volumes of books to the degrees of what I've seen and what I've been through and I've witnessed.
How do you take care of yourself when you have witnessed a lot? And a lot means a lot. Different stuff. You
know, my husband is a big news person. He loves the news. I hate the news. So he'll watch the news when I'm in my office. Mm-hmm. And the minute I come out and I'm done, it goes off. I won't look at it. If I want to know anything about the news, I'll look at it on my news feed. But I pretty much know. And yeah, you should be well informed. You have to know what's going on in the world, too. You have to know what's going on.
Correct.
But you don't want to hear it repetitively every day. Okay. You watch an hour news. It's already been said 3-4 times. So you say enough. All right. But when I decompress, I don't even go in a car for a car ride anymore because I can't take the way people drive. So that puts my anxiety through the roof. Believe it or not, if I told you, you'd laugh. I watch the old sitcoms of Bewitched or Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds so corny, but I go back to simplicity and it calms me down and it makes me laugh. It's good old-fashioned humor.
That's what it is.
And it's not crossing any lines.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Mine is similar. I do Friends or Full House.
Okay.
It's just light.
See?
It's so light.
Very light.
Yeah, and sometimes it makes me feel better.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I agree with you. And think about even your TV, all the energy you're bringing into your house by what you're watching.
That's true.
You say people bring in energy.
Mm-hmm.
So to what you're watching because you're adjusting your emotions to what you're watching and you're facilitating that to come in your house.
I think about that.
That's why you should sage on a regular basis and clear it. You're giving yourself and your home a blessing is what you're doing when you sage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sage your house, what's the biggest tip? I know you've told me before.
White sage stick.
Beautiful.
Palo Santo. You do Palo Santo after saging.
Okay.
Because sage takes all the bad out. Palo Santo puts all the good back in.
Good.
I love Palo Santo because it's holy wood, comes from South America, and that's what it means, holy wood. Catholic churches use Palo Santo in the incense when they're blessing people, and it smells good. It's Palo Santo.
Mm-hmm.
So you really are giving your home a beautiful blessing.
I love it.
But you should be doing that at least once a week.
Yeah, I tried to. I know. I'm like so bad. But I try to. I try to because I'm like, all right, a lot of energy, people coming into the house, whether it's like delivery people, whatever, get, the couch, bringing the whatever, because we just moved. So we have like stuff coming in and out.
Okay.
Family, friends, whoever, just people. I'm like, I like to sage once a week if I can, if I remember.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
And I bet you notice a difference. You're calmer. You sleep better.
Way better.
See?
Way better. Way better. So, Susan, question for you. I don't know if there's one memorable experience you've had when it comes to a reading or just something that, I don't know, just made you really, was challenging to you, right? Was there ever a reading that was so challenging that you still think about to this day?
Yeah. I mean, there's many that I've had, beautiful, touching stories. I mean, if you go on my YouTube, I have psychic stories and I talk about all the real life stories that happen that I've witnessed to. But I would say out of all of them, and they're all great, I remember I was at my Oak Brook office and there were 6 women all doing 30-minute sessions with me in person. And we were having a ball. They were having their own little party. It was really cute. And then after the sessions, they were all going to go out to dinner and all talk about their sessions to each other. And I thought it was really cute. So the last woman that came in, she was about 70, 72 years old. Sweet lady. And I said, so what brings you here? What would you like to know? She says, Susan, honestly, I have nothing to ask. I'm just here and I'm going along with the ride. And I said, there's nothing you want to know. And she goes, well, whatever maybe that you might see. And I thought, all right. So all of a sudden, I'm just kind of pausing, and I see an ambulance, and I see fire trucks. And I said, And I see 4. The number 4 is all over on the top of her head. And I said, that's odd. I said, did somebody in your family have an accident? And she just looks at me and she goes, well, what kind of an accident? I says, I want to say it's a car accident because I see ambulances and fire trucks coming. And she says, yes. And I said, was it a male? And she says, yes, it was. It was my oldest son. Oh, my God. He's coming through. She goes, what is he saying? I said, that he's okay. And it's never going to be goodbye. We will always see each other again, but he's really okay. She goes, he got hit by a drunk driver. And the car accident was so horrific. This is why they had to bring the fire. They couldn't get even his body out. They had to cut it all out. So it bothered me a lot. So I said, I'm so sorry. She says, well, it's a nice message to get. And then she says, well, what else do you see? Now, ironically, I see more ambulances, no fire trucks this time, but ambulances again. I said, do you have 4 children? She says, yes, I do. I'm thinking, but 2 are gone, but I didn't know how to say it to her. And maybe it didn't. So I thought if I tell her, and then she's going to be paranoid. So I thought, so here's the way I treaded on this one. I said, the second one, another car accident. And she goes, what do you see? I said, I don't see anybody coming through, but I see it was very horrific as well. But this person died on impact. Now I see number 9. I says, why do I see number 9? What does that mean? She says, what you see now is my daughter at 16 got her driver's license. And she, when kids get their driver's license, they want to go somewhere and use it. So she asked me, Mom, can I go to the store for you? Can I get stuff for you? She says, all right. And she was a very good driver. So I thought, okay. She was only going a mile from the house. Mm-hmm. Again, she got hit by a drunk driver, dead on impact, 9 years to the day my son died.
What?
Yeah. I mean, this is like out of a movie.
Oh
I'm frozen. Now, this woman, and I start crying. I lost it. I cried.
Oh, I would too.
How do you, and she held it together, this woman. I got to tell you, class act in every way.
Oh.
And I said, how do you come back from that as a mother? And I will never forget it. This woman probably, out of all my clients, was the biggest inspiration. She says, well, when we lost our daughter, my husband was devastated. I was very much afraid for him. We all were, she said. But I remember coming into the bedroom and saying to my husband, we are literally hanging from a cliff. We could fall and crash, or we can learn to pick ourselves up as hard as it is to save ourselves. She goes, I'm devastated. I was their mother, but I know that they're with God, and this is what keeps me going. But we still have 2 other children, and one day our family will continue to grow, and we need to be there. So I choose life. And she says, I hope you come with me on this journey, that you don't stay stuck in this. She says, well, my 2 children are adults. I'm a grandmother. She says, and I'm a grandmother of 7 grandchildren. And she says, I miss my other 2 every day, but I know I'm going to see them. And when you said, I always say, I'm going to see you again. And you just said, my son says, it's not goodbye. It's until we see each other again. I knew you were talking to my son. That touched me beyond words.
Oh, I'm sure.
Grief is tough. Especially, I say the worst grief is when you lose a child. There is no other grief that could compare to that. No, there isn't. I mean, losing a spouse is terrible. It is. It's horrible. But when it's a child, it's horrific. I can't begin to explain it. I deal with it every day.
Right.
But when you have a woman that's lost 2 children from the same thing, 9 years apart, and this woman can still go on, wow.
Yeah. That is strength that I've never in my life seen. That's wow.
No.
You're right, though. Losing a child, I think, probably is the number one most difficult thing someone would ever go through.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this world is full of just hard stuff all around, but that's got to be number one.
It is. And then, I get parents that they don't understand how this all works, and they'll say, why did God do this to my family? Why did God take my son? I'm mad at God. And then, you know what? You could be mad at God, but we all have a timeline here.
Right.
Things that we don't understand. Why do one-day-old babies just live for a day and they die? Mm-hmm. Why do these things happen? I'm not God. But is it supposed to happen? There is a deeper meaning and a deeper story because of it. I do believe that.
I do too. I have no explanation. I mean, I'm not psychic. I'm not a medium. I'm nothing. I just feel like there's just things that we don't know.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it's true. Bad things sometimes, I think, have to happen to change things around, to change our thinking. Like when a woman terminates a pregnancy or even miscarries.
Right.
You know what I say? That soul signed up knowing it wasn't going to make it.
I remember you told me that.
Okay.
My miscarriage.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why? To teach you. It's always a bigger gift for the mother.
Mm-hmm.
For the mother to walk away with the experience. And I know when you lost yours, it was very heartbreaking, but it changed you. But it actually made you more empathetic. It opened your world up to something you never, ever expected to open your world to, of thinking.
Absolutely.
And it prepared you. And this is why you got your daughter, because you were at a place where you were ready. And this is why your daughter was meant to be born.
Oh, I love that. I know it's wild because like her coming to the world and coming. I think they call it Earthside, which is such a cute like name, like a term for it. Her coming Earthside just feels it's like nothing ever happened before that. It's so weird. Yeah. This like timeline, this time illusion, right? Illusion of time. I'm like, this is wild. I just feel like I've just known her. It's so wild.
It's true. And even when you miscarry a baby, it brings the husband and wife closer in a way that you never thought, because you're suffering such a tremendous loss.
That's true.
So you both are you're manifesting something different within your relationship, and it's becoming stronger and deeper.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful message, though, too, for the moms listening who have miscarried, because that actually happens a lot more than people talk about.
Very much so.
Whether you know about it or not, a lot of women have gone through that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure
you're very welcome.
Resonated.
It's the hardest thing when somebody, I remember this one lady, she had it so hard, and I go, I know what you're going through. And she goes, you don't. And I said, I do. I've lost 4 myself in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, that's okay. But when I say I really do understand, I do.
Right. 100%.
Not easy.
Such a amazing episode with you here. Just talking about all of it, and I appreciate you being transparent and being vulnerable almost too, and sharing your story. And I know this about you, but to tell the world and the listeners, I think is really cool. So Susan, for you and kind of what's next, right? Career, spirituality, life, motherhood. What is next in all of that?
I just keep going. People ask if I'm going to retire. No.
No. I don't believe
no, I'm not.
Either.
I can't do it. I can't coffee clutch and join clubs and go to lunch, get fat, buy things that I don't need. It's not who I am.
I hear you.
I can't do it. I can't. I got to keep going. I'll do this till the day I die, and I'm okay with that.
I hear you.
Yeah, it fulfills me. And I'm not against people that are retired. Oh, please, I don't mean any disrespect with that. It's just not for me. I have to keep going, because I think that if I retired is when I would suddenly get old.
Right.
I got to keep going. And I'm going to keep going. So, doing in-person sessions, doing Zoom, doing phone, working with police, doing all these things, podcasts, workshops, do it all. As much information I can pass on, just like what you're doing. I can't say thank you enough. Like you said, we were choosing, we're both at a stage, you and I, we're choosing quality of what projects we're taking on.
Correct.
But giving back to people to what you want to involve people with and people walking away with is a great gift. And I thank you for this podcast, because every podcast that you're doing, women are taking away something that they didn't know before, or actually they feel better when they hear similar stories like, hey, it's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important when you're a mother, and I'm going to tell you this, I know you're a good mother, but you still have doubts as a mother. You always do. You're so paranoid you're going to make a mistake and you don't want your kids getting in trouble or going a wrong direction or, but it's something here's what I tell mothers. Children do not come with a set of instructions, but the one thing, really listen to your child, get to know your child. Your child's not going to be you, and that's okay. Let them have their own identity. But when you could sit there and listen to them, your child is going to talk to you a lot more and not hide things from you.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to help and go with your intuition. That's what's going to make it always okay. If your gut's telling you something, you need to listen to it. Act on it.
I agree.
That's it.
Your intuition.
That's what makes you a great mother. There is no such thing as a perfect mother.
No.
You're going to make mistakes. So what? You're supposed to. How are you going to learn? I made a ton of mistakes.
I mean, yeah, it's
true. I mean,
true.
you're not going to make life-threatening mistakes.
No, of course not.
But you're going to make mistakes. But no, let them do what they want to do. Because when you're watching them, you're learning through them. And then you can help navigate where they should go.
Yes.
Give them all the options that this world can give and see where they go with that.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so true. Well, thank you for sharing that with the listeners and all the moms listening. That's why I created this platform, so that you can come on here and other amazing moms and just share your experience, your life story, any tips. And obviously you're coming from a whole unique perspective. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted to have you on. It was so important to me. So I really do appreciate it. Susan, where can we find you on social media or to book readings with you? And then also your YouTube page.
You would go to SusanRowlen.com, SusanRowlen.com. You can email me for in-person sessions, or you could book for phone and Zoom. I always do all my sessions on Central Time. For in-person, you have to actually email me that.
Okay.
YouTube, you just go to Susan Rowlen YouTube. Beautiful. And then I have Facebook and Instagram, Psychic Medium Susan Rowlen.
You're the best. Susan, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate you very much.
I just want to say I love you.
I love you.
Beyond words. Thank you for having me. Thank you for what you're doing. From all the mothers.
Thank you.
They are going to grow more and more to love you because of what you are teaching and what you're introducing to them. Seriously, back in the day when I was a mother, I wish I had that. We didn't have that back then.
I hear that a lot.
Well, we didn't. But that's why I'm saying you are the vessel to bringing all of this in to so many people.
I'm trying.
But it shows. So I thank you every day. You are a gift every day. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Susan. Make sure to follow on Instagram, on Facebook, and YouTube, of course, and then to book with you, SusanRowlen.com. Thank you.
Thank you.